Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot, and today I'm doing a hashtag last 10 decks. This is what I'm calling the February-March edition 2025 of last 10 decks. I've had a bit of a spree lately, so I will probably have an April-May edition as well. I feel like I've just been kind of fleshing things out and also defining a little bit more areas that are gaps in my collection. And I thought calling myself a collector for quite a while, and then I realized, what am I talking about? I'm a collector in everything I do. With my harp music, I have probably 20 times more harp music than I could ever play in my life. And I can't say that all of it's for students because a lot of it is at very advanced levels. Just pieces that I find interesting that I might want to play one day in some imaginary future. And the same thing was true with knitting magazines. I've done professional knitting and I have a huge collection of knitting magazines. So I'm a collector, and I have reconciled myself to that. And all that to say, I will start with something that is so basic. For years, I have been using the giant Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I like large decks, and I like borders in general. Or if nothing else, they don't bother me. But there are lots of times when I actually like borders. So this was a strange deck to be calling to me. The Borderless Smith-Waite edition. It's smaller size, and I'm so glad I got it. It's out of order. I'll just flip through it very quickly, and probably not all of it, because we've all seen the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I love the feel of it. I like the backs better than the giant tablecloth back on the giant Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And the colors are not, the colors are a bit more muted. So the feel of the cards is kind of a soft, waxy feel that just feels very nice in the hands. So it is completely traditional and yet different from what I have been using for quite a while now. And I still like the giant because I do think it's really good for digging into details. But here he is, my crush boy. So I'll stop there and just say it has a book that is certainly better than the book that comes with the giant Rider-Waite-Smith. It has a more details about every one of the cards. It's by Stuart Kaplan. And then, of course, it has these extra cards, the artwork of Pamela Coleman Smith. This one looking very much like the artwork of William Blake, which I find that very interesting. So just a really good basic purchase that started off, I probably purchased it in early January, and so it was a great start to the year as far as basics go. The next deck is an oracle deck, the Rainbow Brainskull deck. I follow and I feel a great friendship with Tarot of Dreams 80, who is on Instagram, and she uses this deck, and it's just it's kind of who she is. But I also realized it's the part of us that jives. It's just a very fun oracle deck, even though it can be very hard hitting. There is more where that came from. So it's bright, it's fun, it's I think very easy to take to readings in a cafe or at a fair, because it's of the brightness, and it just lays it out there. It's very straightforward. Jumping is scary, staying frozen is scarier. Each one just has a little saying, and I just think it's rainbow fun. Every time I saw her use it on her Instagram, I thought, oh wow, I really like that deck, even though it's so not me. And I said, well, maybe it is me. Maybe it's a part of me that I need to get with a little bit more. So who cares? Who cares? The Rainbow Brainskull Oracle. I've been waiting so long to do this grouping that some of these I have shown on some other hashtags or other videos. This is Tarot for All Ages. Embark on a great tarot adventure. I love the primariness of this deck. It's the simplicity of the illustrations, and yet it doesn't pull back on any punches. Some of the card names are changed to simplify them, to make it better for all ages. Instead of using a word like Hierophant, it uses the word mentor. So it definitely, and I love that Chariot card, it definitely has an appeal that is more innocent. Surrender instead of the Hanged Man. Rebirth instead of death. Greed instead of the devil, and the Tower. So the dark cards are still there. They might have a slightly changed title, and then this is kind of a hybrid deck too, in that you see the number of the pentacles, but you definitely have a picture that goes with it that enhances it. And so this is what I call enhanced pips. And somewhere it's in that netherworld between enhanced pips and Rider-Waite-Smith. A little more pippy. But you can see the bright colors, simplicity of illustration, diversity. I think it just has a lot going for it. I have recommended it as a beginner deck for people. The book is very nice. No reversals in the book. Tarot for all ages. Embark on the great tarot adventure. So it was designed as a learning deck in that respect. Very pretty. My next deck is a different kind of card deck. It is the Good Word Biblical Scripture cards. And each card has a scripture verse. The backs of the cards. I think there are many instances where this would be a great addition to a reading. As those of you who have followed me on Instagram know, I often do scripture cards and practical advice with tarot cards, and so I can definitely see using this alongside those. Very pretty. And I can do all things in him who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. This is Something I also have already know I will be giving as gifts to some of the caregivers that work with us, because I know it would appeal to them, and they know I do tarot, and I think have with varying degrees of curiosity and uncertainty about it. So I think it's a nice midway entree for me to meet them with those cards. I have done, okay, I'm going to move up a bit. I have done a larger review of this marvelous Pip Floral deck, the Floral Tarot. Now, most of you will know I really like floral tarots, except I like tarots that have flowers in them and that talk about the language of the flowers. But I often don't like solely floral decks like this because I feel that they can be missing. There isn't enough to read in them. And that was my first thought when I saw this deck. James Jude Tarot posted this with one of his readings on Instagram. And I talked to him about it. I said, is there really enough to read? And he assured me that there was, and as I've looked at it, there is. See, there are, in some of the pips, there are additional little things, a lot like some historical decks, that not all of the pips have additional things in them, but some of them do. And that's enough to give it just a little extra image that gives you something else to play off of. This is a wonderful progression. It's page, knight, starting to bloom, queen, and then the king is fully in bloom. I think it's a beautiful deck. It has a kind of a combination of both Pip and Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism. Here you see the dog in the bag in the Fool. You see the tools. So you get a lot of the symbols, whether you're normally a Pip reader or Rider-Waite-Smith, you get many of the symbols that you would see in both of those decks. And so it's, again, an enhanced Pip deck that's a kind of a hybrid. And I got this, I think, on at some half-price bookseller online, new, but at a greatly reduced price. So it's available, it's out there, it's available, and you can find new decks at a great price. The Floral Tarot. This next deck is a testament to the power of Tarot Tube, the Radiant Tarot. I've always liked this image, and this deck, first it really drew me to it, and then when I saw more about it on Tarot Tube, I thought, I don't like that kind of primitive style artwork. And then I heard more about the book and the concepts in the book and how it really is about creative exploration. And many of you will know I'm a working artist in many different fields of art, the arts. So it grew on me, and I looked at the images more and more. I like images with color coding. I personally do like images of people with animal faces or animal heads. I actually, in my teens, I was doing professional fashion illustration, and I actually did a whole series of illustrations of models with like a giraffe head, and then instead of high heels were hooves, but otherwise it would be a human figure. And I did that before it was done in New York, but I'm in a small town in the middle of nowhere, so it didn't really matter. A small town in Maryland, college town. So, you know, you know, maybe somebody saw one of mine and took off with it in a market where that could really be used, or maybe it was just something that was in the air. So here you can see the color coding of the background of the cards. Again, enhanced pips. And I make a distinction between what I call enhanced pips and illustrated pips. Illustrated pips would be Rider-Waite Smith, where each card almost tells a story on its own. And enhanced pips to me it's the pips with a couple pictures that add to the pips. So lovely, animal-based things. My quibbles about it have been overridden, and I look very much forward to getting to know it. I think this would have to be a deep dive deck for me, because I would have to read the book with it, and really, I generally don't like working with decks that have a more complex foundational purpose unless I actually am reading the book alongside of it. This next deck you have been seeing a lot of in my videos this month. The Tarocchi Minchiate di Bomarzo by Amparo Aguirre. This is a very traditional Minchiate, except for the bright colors. Amparo Aguirre had done a very traditional Minchiate deck that she got, I believe, from her grandmother, so she kind of re-edited it and cleaned it up for her edition of those cards, but still staying very faithful to that older deck. And then she got the idea to do this, and it's just these brilliant colors, to me, take it over the top. I'm a color person. I've talked about doing readings by color. And the wonderful thing that she has done with her decks is including a book that tells you how to actually play the game. And she has it is a barcode, but it's legit. And it tells you how to play the game. So these symbols that you see at the corners are the symbols for scoring and for the game itself. If you are not into historical decks, and you may find the order of the majors very off-putting, because the majors are much more like an ancient deck. There are 5 popes, and the Eastern Pope and the Western Pope. And then she has made some changes to that, but it's still, that's basically what it is. You can see the brilliant copper metallic, and the navy blue edging. I have shown this deck quite a bit, so I'm really not going to show the whole thing. Minchiate decks are known for having elements. This is the earth element, earth, air, fire, and water cards, as well as the virtues, and they also have zodiac cards. So it's a larger deck, smaller size. If this is a little wider, I think, than regular traditional tarot size, but you see the difference. I think that would be the normal tarot size. So this is a smaller deck, which is good when when there are this many cards. It's nice to have a smaller deck. It makes it much easier to handle. I have many, many videos of this being used for general readings this month, because it is my deep dive deck this month. I'm sorry, my dog is going nutso outside, barking at a whole bunch of different things. So you're probably hearing little woofs in the background. This was my last deck of these 10 But I didn't want to leave it for last because, well, you'll hear why. This is a deck that I have loved the artwork when I have seen it, but it's a Thoth-based deck, and I'm not a Thoth gal. But these illustrations, these gorgeous, gorgeous watercolor illustrations by Christine Zillich, or Zillich, are just magnificent and so evocative, give you so much to work with. I hesitated for a long, long time because it is Thoth-based, and then I realized it's, except for a couple things in a different order and a couple different names, which I can easily figure out, there isn't that much difference. I haven't been into the Thoth deck simply because I don't like the artwork of the original, and it just feels, it doesn't appeal to me. And I don't want to say anything that's insulting to people that do like it, because a lot of people love it. But this deck speaks to me so strongly. Now, notice, this is a full size. Part of the reason I didn't get it was I could only see the mini version in the tin. I was never seeing a full size. And so when I finally decided that I really did want it, that the artwork really does speak to me, I did a search for full size, and I found it, I don't remember whether it was eBay or Etsy, which of course makes me wonder if it is a legit deck. It does say US Games. It has the imprint. It has a booklet. But as I recall, the booklet is a generic Rider-Waite Smith booklet. And it has one of these codes. And so, you know, it has the earmarks of a knockoff, which I don't usually like, except I have never seen a full-size version of this, except for this. And so that was it. I wanted the full size. I didn't want the other. It has all of the US Games stuff on it. So it's difficult to tell. It looks like it could be legit, but there are some things about it that are off. Normally that would give me a really bad feeling about the deck, but in this case, it wasn't available in full size anywhere else. Maybe there was a full size before and it's out of print. So I'm happy to have it, in spite of those possibilities. Next, I have two decks that are definitely not knockoffs. I got them from the artist. And I have done a separate video on these decks. This is by Rabbit's Moon Tarot, the Friar's Delight Lenormand. When I saw a Lenormand deck with medieval imagery, I was like, I'm sold. Just love every bit of that. Those of you who watch my channel know I don't use Lenormand cards very frequently at all. And when I do, I tend to use them more as oracle cards. So for me, it's about the imagery, and it is my delight to have this Friar's Delight. And again, by the same Rabbit's Moon Tarot, the Cult of Weimar Tarot. Again, I did a focused deck review of this deck. In dark times, will there still be singing? Bertolt Brecht, prescient as always. And it came with two magnets that represent the two new cards, the two additional cards in this deck. Shadow, and Epiphany. I know this will be a deck that I pull out at Halloween because it has a darkness to it. And a strangeness to it. I'm a silent film fan. Nudity warning on this deck. There is definitely some nudity. I'll try to catch it when it comes around. And again, I did a full flip through on this deck and discussion about the timeliness of this deck and these absinthe green edges, which are just a lovely touch. Rabbit's Moon Tarot, the Cult of Weimar Tarot. So those are my last 10 decks for February and March 2025. I hope I hope you saw something here that you hadn't seen before that piques your interest. I certainly am thrilled with these because as I said, I feel like I'm beginning to hit a stride with understanding which, instead of just getting decks that I think look nice, I feel like I'm hitting a stride now more with decks that speak more strongly and personally to me. And which then, of course, makes me wonder, do I need to keep those other ones or just kind of, something pretty, or is it, because I don't really feel the need to have a huge collection unless I'm going to be using it. So I do know that these are things that many of us in the community have discussed and that we think about. And in this day and age, when people are losing jobs and having their livelihoods negatively impacted, certainly I had trepidation about whether I even should be doing this kind of deck haul video, but we like to share decks and we like to see each other's decks, and that's part of the community. I don't want to be tone deaf to what's going on in the world, but I also want to share my joy where I can. So I hope this brought you a little color and joy into your day. I'm Cara from Cara Tarot. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day.